Welcome to Geek on Film with your host, Robbie Holmes. Hey there, folks. Welcome to episode 39 of Geek on Film. I'm Robbie, riding solo today. We're going to go over a couple of television shows that I watched this week, a few films, and then we're going to get to our main review of Ghosted. So this week on television, let's start with Succession, episode 5 of season 4. This is the episode called Kill List, where we spend an awful lot of time heading over to meet with Madsen's crew to try to work out the deal for Waystar with Gojo. Everybody's there. We get this amazing sequence where you see lots and lots of people coming together. The flight over is really funny. The old guard is really questioning, the sort of young, spry European nature of the Gojo executive team. And there's a lot of imposter syndrome. Jerry seems to be the only one that seems to be holding things together. She reminds them all that they were sort of born in, under Logan's tutelage. They've been, hardened, and they're not soft, weak Europeans. We get the siblings together, trying really hard to figure out how to stay a unified crew, but also there's definitely no unification here. You see Shiv desperately trying to find her own path to keep herself above the fray a little bit. It's really impressive what Sarah Snook is able to pull off as Shiv. She's amazing. She, there's a show I listen to called The Rewatchables, and I think in this case we could absolutely say that Shiv won the episode. She found a way to connect with Madsen and to remain relevant across the board for both sides. And in the end, the deal is finally cut after Roman and Kendall go to the top of a mountain to have a final confrontation with Madsen. And Sarah Snook spends time with him, talking to him about sort of what's going on. And he compliments her, that she reminds him a lot of Logan. Yeah, it's a really crazy episode. In the end, a final offer comes through, and it seems as though Shiv has been able to parlay with Madsen and get the kill list to not include most of the female executives that were part of Waystar. So we see that most of the leadership team has been added to the kill list. A really amazing finale in this episode where Madsen calls Shiv and asks if she's with the boys, and asks for a picture of their faces so he can see what it looks like when they're crushed by this notification. So they didn't want to sell. We get this amazing sequence where Roman really unloads on Lucas and does not want to sell his company to this man. And in the end, he makes an offer that they can't refuse, ironically. But he goes past them. He goes to the board by going to the old guard. So in the end, Madsen is just flexing again and showing that he is more competent, or showing them that they're not competent enough to deal with him. A really great episode. Keep up on Succession. I plan on riding this all the way through to the end. It's unbelievable. So we'll jump over to the season finale of Mandalorian. So chapter 24, The Return. We see the Mandalorians really coming face to face with everything that's going on Mandalore. You've got this amazing back and forth sequence happening where we pick up right as the battle was coming to fruition at the end of the last episode. And we see Moff Gideon eventually landing and having to fight Bo-Katan heads up. And in the end, we get the destruction of the Darksaber. And he tells her very pointedly that, the Mandalorians are nothing without their trinkets. We've had Din Djarin and Grogu basically fight and win against three of the Praetorian guards, which is insane. Yeah, and come back around the corner to her saying very pointedly, "The Mandalorians are stronger together." And Din returns to the battle, and we see Axe bringing down the ship that he went up to crash land into Mandalore. And as he comes down, he flies out of the ship. The ship explodes into the fortress that Moff Gideon has built, and we see a giant explosion coming, and Grogu using the Force to hold a bubble around Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and himself. The assumption being that our friend Moff Gideon is dead, but it's Star Wars. Unless you see a body, it's always possible that that person's alive. In the end, we close out with seeing Ragnar getting his added to the song for the Mandalorians, and Din says that it's Grogu's turn. The armorer says that he can't take the creed because he can't speak on his own behalf. Din pushes and says, "What if his parent was able to give the approval?" And then finally, it comes down to him saying he'll adopt Grogu. So Grogu's name is now Din Grogu, which is confusing to everybody. Hooray! A fun episode. The battle sequences seem really fun, really inspired by anime. It was amazing seeing all the Mandalorians flying across the surface of the planet. It was really cool. I enjoyed it, but I'm really interested to see if there's going to be a fourth season of The Mandalorian before the movie that's going to take place that pulls everybody together. I am excited to get to Ahsoka. I am still watching Clone Wars. I'm probably just shy of the end of season 4 at this point. It is something that I've been sprinkling in when I have time. I'm still unbelievably impressed with how good that show is, and it is making all of these shows that much better for me. This week's Yellow Jackets, hanging out with some cannibalistic teens. The episode is called Two Truths and a Lie, and we end up with not it doesn't feel like this moves the story along that much, to be honest. It's a little bit of spinning plates. We have things that started in the previous episode coming forward a little bit. It's not a big revelation episode across the board for me. We get Misty and Walter finally find their way to Lottie's camp, and they talk to Natalie, and Natalie basically tells Misty to go away. We end up with Shauna and her daughter realizing that the person she's been spending time with is actually a cop. She tells the cop that yes, her mother has been having an affair, but that affair is with Randy, her husband's best friend. So we get Jeff calling Randy and telling him that he has to spend time with Shauna, but he's not allowed to touch her. They go to a hotel room. The cops are following them, obviously. And you get a fun moment of Melanie Linsky basically telling Randy, Shauna telling Randy that he has to go jerk off into a condom to prove that they've had sex. He goes to the bathroom. It's, really comedic and silly. And then the cops, after they leave, come in and inspect. They find the condom, and one of them realizes it smells like strawberries and that there's strawberry hand lotion there. So doesn't believe that they actually had sex. So this little charade does not seem to have solved this problem. Yeah, a fun episode. Again, a little bit more setting people in motion from things that had happened previously. We get a chance to spend a little bit of time with Van and Taisha and Ty in Van's video store, where Ty finds some codeine or oxycodone that that has the initial V and Van's last name, and she says that it was her mother's. And in the end, we find that Van fishes the drugs out of the garbage and takes them. So not everybody's being truthful on any angle of this show. It feels like Van is hiding something from Ty. Ty has not yet told Van everything that's going on. So yeah, this week there's a skip week for Yellow Jackets. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So I'm excited to continue the show. I just think this was an episode that didn't move the needle very much for me. Okay, so to some movies. I watched a classic independent film over on Criterion called Party Girl. I realized that I had never seen this film. If you look in the notes, you'll see that it is available streaming on about 5 different services. This is the Parker Posey vehicle that is directed by Daisy von Schuyler Mayer and written by Daisy and Harry Breckmeyer and Sheila Gaffney. This movie takes place in the 1990s. I think it was shot in 1993 or 4 in the Village. A lot of it takes place in Manhattan. It feels very of the moment. This movie was so much fun. Parker Posey playing Mary, who is this sort of flitty, flaky, titular party girl who is finding that her life is not having any real momentum, and she's not living a real important life. And she eventually gets arrested because in the beginning of the movie, she's throwing a party in a 4-story walk up, and that party gets broken up by cops, and she's arrested for having a party and selling drinks without, all these kind of, the things they threaten you with when you're a kid and you shouldn't have a house party. And she ends up going to jail. She goes afterwards. She calls from jail her godmother, and she's played by Sasha von Schirler, an actress you would definitely recognize. It turns out her godmother is a librarian at the public library. She goes to her the next day and degrades the fact that she's like, I can be a librarian, and this turns out to be her calling, which is a really cute aspect of the movie. During this movie, she meets Mustafa, who is this very smart man who is from the Middle East, who is selling falafel and baba ganoush out of a stand. She goes there almost every day to get the same thing. He's very charming, played by Omar Townsend. And it's a super fun movie. If you've never seen it, you should watch it. It's a chance to see like a young Liev Schreiber, lots of people you'll recognize across the board. John Ventimiglia plays a tough guy outside the club where Liev Schreiber is the bodyguard. Just so many that guys in this movie that you will 100% recognize. So fun, so much of the moment New York City-ness to it. You've got Guillermo Diaz playing Leo in this movie. Yeah, it's just a blast. Go watch it. Enjoy yourself. It's so much fun to watch. 2 other films that I watched this week. I've owned and bought the 4K re-release and of the Godfather trilogy. And my wife and I had not sat down and watched it. And out of the blue, she was like, let's watch Godfather. So we watched the first 2 films in the Godfather trilogy. And I am not going to break any new ground here. I'm going to say these movies are astounding, but the 4K restoration of these films is unbelievable. Lots of people complain about grain in old films. And when these transfers happen, you see a lot of graininess on the screen. That is how the production process for capturing images. It just so happens the film stock is grainy, and that carries over in this restoration. It's very grainy at the beginning, but all of a sudden your eye attunes to it. I'm completely blown away by how good these movies are. I don't think I actually saw the Godfather trilogy until I was in my 20s, maybe early 30s, and I didn't have enough respect for what they were. I felt like they were a little slow. I also just didn't have the historic lens to put them through. And rewatching them now at 48 years old, I am so blown away by how good these films are. You've got, just an epic set of actors that are bringing to life this story. Really unbelievably moved by how good each one of these actors are at this point in their career. There's arguments to be made that any one of them in this movie could have been their best movie or could have won this movie. I mean, you've got Brando as Don Vito in the first movie. You've got Pacino as Michael. You've got James Caan as Sonny. You've got, who else? Let's see. You have Robert Duvall as Tom Hagen. These are the main actors in this movie, and every one of them gives an outstanding performance. The first movie, I think the thing I'm most intrigued by is going back to watching it is how much the movie is really about Vito's moral code, how he runs his family, right? Everything he does because of family and because of respect. And with another leading man, I don't know that you would have had the level of gravitas that Marlon Brando brought to it. He has this, slightly soft spoken, low raspy voice where he's very diplomatic or very deliberate in his speaking pattern. I think part of that, from everything I've heard, is that he notoriously never memorized his lines. He put cue cards all over the place. There was a joke that he put one on Robert Duvall's chest during a scene. I don't care what it took. Brando is unbelievable in this movie. The opening sequence, where you get the entire movie set up from being at this wedding at the house of Don Vito, all the way through the meeting of Luca Brasi outside rehearsing his lines, of what he's going to say to Marlon Brando, to Don Vito, to honestly, to the arrival of Michael, to watching the sequence where Luca Brasi comes in and just wants to show respect to Don Vito. It sets up the whole world. You know exactly what you're about to see for the rest of this movie. You know that James Caan is the eldest son. You know that Al Pacino's the youngest son. He's the one that his father's trying to keep out of the business. You get everything in such a short period of time. You got Diane Keaton playing Kay, who is Michael's betrothed, his girlfriend at the time. Yeah, it's such an amazing film. I didn't even mention Talia Shire's in this film as married. She is one of the siblings. She's the sister of the kids. She's great. I think some of her scenes are a little over the top, but she's pretty unbelievable. And she's married to Carlo Rizzi, played by Gianni Russo. You got Fredo, who's played by John Cazale, as the youngest of the middle brother. Again, no surprises. Unbelievable film. The restoration is unbelievable. It's so clean, and there's so much richness in every scene. The decision to shoot this, so much of the lighting coming from above. Very few scenes can you actually see the eyes of the actors. It has that yellowish black hue to make it look like it's aged. And that's all done on purpose. That was done by the director of photography. An amazing experience to sit through today, especially with a modern television. And it is the original true DTS HD 5.1 track that is on the movie. There's also the original theater track. Apparently, I haven't watched it with that, but it's gorgeous and the sound is really good. The only thing I would say is it's really interesting to see a movie like this and see the choices that are made with the volume levels. You go from a very calm spoken scene to this extremely loud sequence at a party. It's off-putting and jarring when you watch it today. I think it doesn't feel like it's attuned to a loud, high quality home theater setup. So it was a really cool experience watching it. My wife was really blown away. I think my first review of this movie, it was like 3.5 stars. And this is definitely up to 4 stars for me on the first film. And we'll move to the second one. The second, Godfather, is if the entire first movie is Don Vito's sort of moral code, the second film is nothing more than Michael's descent into being the center of the world. His approach to being Don is so evil and dark. There's no forgiveness in Michael, where it feels like Don Vito had a forgiveness in him when someone crossed him. That is not the case here with Michael. You spend so much of the film watching, Michael try to play the multi-dimensional chess of going to Cuba, dealing with Hyman Roth, dealing with Senator Pat Geary. There's just so much going on in this film that feels even bigger than the first film, but it doesn't take away from how much you understand. I think the piece of this film that you don't get, that a lesser director would have probably given you, is it would have had Michael tell someone what he's doing. But I think the entire premise of the movie is that you have to see if you can put yourself in the mindset so you can figure out what Michael's trying to accomplish. And I think that is what makes this movie so special. This is at least my second viewing of the film. And I've also listened to a bunch of podcasts about it. And when you start to realize what's going on and you see how it's unfolding, especially if you've watched it before, this movie is kind of amazing. You get roped in the further into this film and the more rewatches, the more you're leaning towards the screen as opposed to leaning back. I found myself really intrigued by how he's pulling it off, paying attention to the details, trying to figure out when and where he knows things. That is crazy. You also get the young storyline where Vito is a young man played by De Niro. Those sequences are gorgeous. Like I think the joke was that De Niro had 138 lines in the film, and like three of them are English. I don't think he spoke Italian before this film. He learned to play this character, but he also spent an unbelievable amount of time, like really studying Brando and his approach and how he would have been 30 years younger. This movie, as much as it's Pacino's, is definitely Duvall's. He is as intricate to what's going on here. He's Michael's right hand as Tom, and he is involved in everything that's going on. And you get a chance to see how different the siblings are. Without Sonny around, you've got Michael, who's slowly turning further and further into the dark side. You've got Fredo feeling more and more overlooked as the older son, but not the oldest. And you've got Talia Shire like ignoring everything having to do with family, including her own kids at the beginning. That's also because Michael creates this sort of terrible world, in my opinion. When we open the movie, they're actually in Lake Tahoe, and even the band doesn't know any Italian music. The food isn't Italian. It's really interesting to see how far Michael has taken them from their roots, trying to legitimize them as a family. Yeah, no shade thrown on that. It's just an interesting choice that Michael is making for his family. There are little sequences in the movie where you see the old world seeping back in. You got Frankie Angels, played by Michael Gaza, and he comes to the party. He's had a few too many glasses of wine, tries to get the band to play some music that is inspired by Italy and Italian music, and they end up playing Pop Goes the Weasel and sort of making fun of him. It's powerful to watch how far Michael has brought his family from the old world. Yeah, it's again, no big surprise here. Godfather 2, pretty awesome. You should go back and watch it if you haven't. I will say the restoration is gorgeous. The film looks so good. There are sequences in this film that you will never forget if you've ever watched it. The sequences where they're riding through Cuba as a group, and they stop and they watch what's going on, and then the unbelievable sequences in Cuba where Fredo is admitting to Michael that he's been mad at him, and that unfolds that Fredo has betrayed him. You get a chance to see Pacino really doing what Pacino does best, which is chewing some scenery, but also in the most controlled of ways. He literally loses it when it comes down to where the shooting takes place. He's like, in my bedroom, where my wife is, where my kids play. Like, it's a really great sequence where you see where Pacino's future lies, which is in those outbursts. But they're so controlled, and it feels like he's bubbling over in those moments in this movie. And it makes him even more powerful. I think that's it for me for films this week. I am going to jump over to a main review, but that main review is of the movie Ghosted. Let's just say I'm going to start this off and say this movie has been pretty much universally panned at this point. So this is a film where we meet, and no disagreement from me. I think this movie is sort of it feels like a script that was written in the 90s that has not been updated or not been approached in any way, shape, or form. And it would have been a sort of throwaway film in the 90s. And this feels like it is a throwaway film of today with all the shackles of being a film from the past. It is not a good movie. It's amazing to have this much talent in a film and it not be good. Yeah. So we've got Chris Evans playing Cole Turner. We've got Ana de Armas playing Sadie Rhodes. Those are the two main characters. There's lots of other actors in here. We can get into a little bit of it, but I think the base storyline is Cole Turner is a farmer. He has been a overly enthusiastic and rambunctious person in his dating life. He's cared too much. He's been smothery. He eventually meets Sadie, who is played by Anna. They go on a date. They have an amazing date. They spend the day together. They spend the evening together. They spend the night together. They end up staying together in the day. So they have this long, amazing experience. And then Chris Evans goes home, and Sadie and him don't connect. He texts her many times. eventually realizes that, Chris Evans and he has asthma. So his inhaler has a air tag on it, and he had left it in her bag. So he goes to figure out where she's at, finds out that she's in London, goes to London. We find out that Sadie is actually a CIA agent, and Chris Evans as Cole turns into the damsel in distress. They think that he is the person who is the quote unquote tax man, who is supposed to be the undercover agent that is doing stuff and things. None of this really matters. The movie unfolds. There's a bunch of really crazy battle sequences that happen. You've got Adrian Brody chewing all the scenery as a bad guy. Again, I love Adrian Brody playing small characters, especially ones that are over the top. But even Adrian Brody can't save this film. You've got just so many good actors in this movie. You've got Mustafa Shakir playing Monte Jackson in it. He is somebody you'd recognize. There are so many. So this pulls directly from like the John Wick. We're putting up a bounty on your head, and so that happens. And during that time period, we get all these bounty hunters that come out of nowhere, and they're all played by cameo people. So you've got, if you don't want this spoiled, it's time to tap out. But the cameos are by like Anthony Mackie, and then John Cho, and then Sebastian Stan, and then Ryan Reynolds. It's just so ridiculous. It's really crazy. This movie is not good. The final sequence takes place in a restaurant that rotates, and of course, something happens and makes it rotate very fast. So the entire final sequence is basically watching things fly out of windows, except for the main characters, who find the two pieces of glass that are going to hold them, even though other things are just crashing through. Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good movie. I would say this is like a 2-star movie at best out of 5, maybe less. The more I talk about it, the less I like it. In the moment, I was like, it's fine. It's meh. It's a little less than meh. But these folks don't have as much chemistry as I was hoping for. I was comparing this to like The Gray Man or Red Notice. It's in that vein of like, here's a bunch of old school approaches to rom-commy action commies. Like they're not good. This is not good. Yeah, do yourself a favor. Don't waste your time. This is on Apple TV Plus. Not worth getting it for this. Go watch Schmigadoon. That's pretty great. That's it for me this week. I am going to tap out there. It's a quick episode of me on my own. I think next week, I'm not sure what the main review is going to be. It may be Beau is Afraid, but we shall see. It's been fun chatting with you folks. I'm Robbie the Geek everywhere online. My partner in crime, John, is off doing amazing things. He will be back hopefully soon. He is John Hoche, JONHOCHE. We are geekonfilm.com, geekonfilm.com on Instagram and Twitter. Please rate and review us. We would love to get more feedback from you folks. And it's been really fun dissuading you from watching Ghosted. Go watch great movies like Godfather and Godfather Part 2. And TV time, man. We're in Emmy season. This is unbelievable TV that we're watching. Even though The Mandalorian's not a perfect ending, it was a much more fun ending than some of the episodes we had throughout a much more fun episode than some of the episodes we had this season. Succession is still killing it. And when it comes right down to it, Yellow Jackets, no matter how many table setting episodes they have, are going to be great. They still have me on the hook. So thank you so much. Talk to you folks next week. Have a good day. Bye-bye. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.